Hi everyone. Today we're going to be talking about the idea that mirror isn't always honest. A lot of us grow up believing that what we see in the mirror is completely accurate, like it's a clear and objective reflection of who we are. We check the mirror before school, before going out, or even multiple times a day. And we start to trust that what we see defines how we look to others. But for many people, especially those struggling with body dysmorphia, that reflection can feel distorted. Instead of seeing themselves as a whole person, they may focus on certain features and feel like those define them completely. Over time, this can start to affect confidence, mood, and even daily behavior. Something as simple as looking in the mirror can become stressful instead of neutral.
Body dysmorphia can cause someone to see their appearance in a way that's very different from how others see them. A small detail, like their skin, weight, hair, or a facial feature, can feel extremely noticeable or quote unquote wrong, even if others don't see them that way at all. This isn't about being dramatic or overly critical. It's actually the brain processing the image in a distorted way. So even when someone receives reassurance or compliments, it can be really hard for them to believe it because what they're seeing feels so real and convincing. This can create a cycle where the person keeps checking their appearance, trying to fix something that others may not even notice.
Another important part of this is something called selective focus. Instead of seeing their full appearance, someone might zoom in on one or two features they don't like. Over time, that becomes the main thing they notice every time they look in the mirror. It's like looking at a full picture but only focusing on one small corner of it and ignoring everything else. That one detail starts to feel bigger and more important than it actually is. This can make someone feel like their entire appearance is defined by that one feature, even though in reality it's just a small part of the bigger picture.
Something else that affects how we see ourselves is our mood. On days when you're feeling stressed, anxious, or insecure, your reflection can seem worse, even if nothing about your appearance has changed. But on days when you're feeling more confident or relaxed, you might see yourself in a completely different way. This shows that what we see isn't always objective or fixed. It, it can change depending on how we feel internally. So if your reflection looks different, from one day to another, it might not be your appearance changing, it might be your mindset.
It's also important to remember that mirrors are very limited. They only show physical appearance from one angle in one moment under certain lighting. They don't show movement, personality, or how you come across to others in real life. They don't show your kindness, your humor, your energy, or the way you make people feel when they're around you. So when we rely on a mirror to define our worth, we're only looking at a very small and incomplete part of who we are as a person.
There's a big difference between perception and reality. Perception is how we see things, and reality is what it actually is. When it comes to body image, those two don't always match. Your brain can interpret what you see in a way that isn't fully accurate. Just because something looks a certain way to you doesn't mean that's how others see it. Understanding this difference is important because it helps us question negative thoughts instead of automatically believing them. It creates space to remind ourselves that our thoughts are not always facts.
So, overall, the main takeaway is that your reflections is not the full story. What you see in the mirror is only one small piece of who you are, and it can be influenced by your thoughts, emotions, and experiences. You are more than your appearance and more than any single feature you might focus on. Learning to separate your worth from what you see in the mirror is a process, but it's an important step towards building a healthier relationship with yourself. I hope you enjoyed today and I'll see you in the next episode.